When Carl Jung spoke of dreams, he did not see them as random images or meaningless hallucinations created by the sleeping brain. To Jung, dreams were expressions of the unconscious mind, rich messages emerging from the depths of the human psyche, offering guidance, insight, and reflections of inner conflicts and potentials. Jung's approach to dreams was revolutionary, differing significantly from Sigmund Freud, his one-time mentor, who interpreted dreams primarily as disguised wish fulfillments. For Jung, dreams carried far more than repressed desires. They carried symbols, universal, archetypal images from the collective unconscious, as well as personal memories, conflicts, and future possibilities. Thus, dreams were neither meaningless nor simple puzzles to be solved. They were communications from the unknown part of the self, offering an honest portrayal of our present psychic state. In Jung's method of dream analysis, he urged the analyst not to impose preconceived theories upon the dream, but to listen carefully to the images themselves. Jung believed that every dream is like a picture, expressing the unconscious state of the dreamer through symbolic language. The dream itself should be allowed to speak. The symbols within the dream are not codes to be deciphered mechanically, but are living expressions of psychic realities, containing personal, cultural, and collective dimensions. Therefore, interpreting a dream requires patience, openness, and a willingness to engage with both personal history and archetypal themes. Jung would often begin by examining the context in which the dream occurred. He stressed that a dream must never be interpreted without understanding the psychological situation of the dreamer. This includes their conscious attitudes, emotional struggles, and their stage of life. For instance, a dream occurring during a period of emotional crisis carries different weight than one occurring in a period of calm. Likewise, the meaning of a particular dream symbol depends not only on universal archetypal meanings, but also on the personal associations of the dreamer. A snake, for one person, might represent danger and fear, while for another, it may symbolize healing and transformation. Recalling the image of the caduceus or other serpentine deities, Jung emphasized what he called the prospective function of dreams. Dreams not only reflect the past and present, but also anticipate possible developments of the personality. He believed that the unconscious mind possesses a kind of compensatory wisdom that seeks to balance and correct the conscious attitude. If a person is overly rational, their dreams may present irrational, emotional content to restore psychic balance. If someone is too identified with their persona, their outward social mask dreams may introduce shadow elements, confronting the dreamer with parts of themselves they have rejected. Thus, dreams often function as a self-regulating mechanism of the psyche, aiming toward individuation, the process of becoming one's true whole self. In analyzing dreams, Jung would focus heavily on the symbols that appeared. He argued that symbols are the natural language of the unconscious. Unlike signs, which point to specific concepts, symbols are images pregnant with meanings that cannot be fully explained in words. They are bridges between the known and the unknown. Jung identified countless archetypal symbols: the shadow, the anima and animus, the wise old man, the child, the hero, and many more, recurring across cultures and times. However, he cautioned against jumping to archetypal interpretations too quickly. Instead, he advocated starting with what he called the objective level of interpretation, considering what the symbols represent in outer life before moving to the subjective level, where the dream is seen as a representation of inner psychological processes. Jung's method also involved amplifying symbols through a technique he termed amplification. This involved exploring related myths, religious images, folklore, and cultural motifs connected to the dream symbol. For example, if a lion appeared in a dream, Jung might explore lion symbolism across world myths, from the ferocious guardian lions of ancient Egypt to the noble lions of medieval heraldry. Through amplification, the symbol's archetypal dimensions could emerge, enriching the personal understanding. Yet amplification alone was not enough. Jung stressed the importance of active imagination, engaging with the dream symbols consciously, dialoguing with them, visualizing them, and allowing them to evolve. Dreams for Jung were not static artifacts. They were dynamic expressions of psychic energy that could be worked with and developed. By interacting with dream images in waking life, the individual could foster deeper integration of unconscious material into consciousness. Throughout the dream analysis process, Jung maintained a therapeutic attitude of respect toward the unconscious. He did not see the unconscious as merely a repository of repressed thoughts, as Freud did, but as an autonomous, intelligent aspect of the psyche, possessing its own logic and intention. This attitude transformed the analyst from a detective, deciphering secrets, to a participant in a dialogue with the unknown. The dream was not something to be solved, but something to be understood, to be honored. Jung also placed emphasis on recurring dream figures, persons, or presences who appeared repeatedly in the dream life of an individual. Whether a shadowy pursuer, a wise teacher, or a mysterious child, these recurring figures often represented aspects of the dreamer's own psyche. By studying these figures carefully, one could uncover shadow aspects, inner guides, or of future potential. Their repeated appearance signaled unresolved tensions or important psychic tasks awaiting integration. An essential part of Jung's method involved exploring the feeling tone of the dream. Was the dream terrifying, peaceful, confusing, or enlightening? Jung taught that the emotional tone of the dream offers critical clues to its meaning. A frightening dream might not simply express fear, but signal the emergence of something unfamiliar, challenging yet necessary for growth. Jung urged dreamers to face their nightmares, not as omens of doom but as invitations to engage with what they most fear within themselves. The therapeutic goal of dream analysis, for Jung, was not simply insight but transformation. He believed that working with dreams facilitates individuation, helping the individual move toward wholeness. Each dream, he argued, reveals where we are out of balance, where unconscious contents are seeking expression, and where life wants to flow next. Dreams might signal the need to relinquish old attitudes, embrace new roles, confront inner demons, or integrate rejected parts of the self. In his clinical work, Jung often asked his patients to keep detailed dream journals. He would then work through these dreams, one by one, over months, and even years, tracing the unfolding psychic process. He saw dreams not as isolated messages, but as parts of a continuous narrative, revealing the evolving dialogue between the conscious and unconscious. This longitudinal approach allowed Jung to witness the subtle shifts in his patients' psychic lives, recognizing when a critical threshold had been crossed, when a shadow had been integrated, when a new attitude had been born. Unlike Freud, Jung did not emphasize dream interpretation as a science. For Jung, dream work was closer to an art, requiring intuition, empathy, and openness to mystery. He spoke of dream interpretation as a craft, where one listens carefully, avoids rigid formulas, and remains attuned to the individual's symbolic world. Each dream was a unique creation of the psyche, demanding personal engagement. Jung warned against over-intellectualizing dreams. While scholarly knowledge of myths and symbols aids analysis, it cannot replace the living connection to the unconscious. Dreams must be felt, experienced, lived. Jung encouraged analysts and dreamers alike to avoid the temptation to explain away a dream too quickly. Often, the meaning of a dream unfolds slowly over time, requiring patience. In many of his writings, Jung shared his own dreams and dream analysis, illustrating his method with personal examples. He believed that the analyst must work with their own unconscious material to avoid projecting unresolved issues onto their patients. Dreams, he taught, are the path not only to healing others, but to understanding oneself. For Jung, dream analysis was not a clinical technique to fix symptoms, but a profound engagement with the mystery of human existence. The dream offered access to the deeper layers of the psyche, to the ancient images, the forgotten memories, the emerging potentials. It revealed the soul's language, symbolic, emotional, non-linear. By working with dreams, Jung believed, we could reconnect with the numinous, the sacred, the creative forces within us. Ultimately, Jung's method of dream analysis invites us to become participants in our own inner unfolding. Each dream becomes a message from the depths, not to be feared or dismissed, but to be received as guidance from the unknown parts of ourselves. Through careful attention, symbolic exploration, and conscious integration, Jung taught that dreams could help us become who we are meant to be, whole, authentic, and alive. Now that we've explored the foundation of Carl Jung's dream analysis method, we continue deeper into the labyrinth of the unconscious, where dreams are not random images but purposeful expressions of the psyche. In this continuation, we explore more advanced layers of Jung's psychology, particularly how recurring dream symbols, dream sequences, and long-term dream work contribute to the individuation process, where the dreamer moves step by step towards psychic wholeness. Jung regarded every dream as a momentary snapshot of the psyche's inner state, but he also knew that no single dream could provide a complete picture. Instead, he encouraged the study of what he called dream series, sequences of dreams that unfold over weeks, months, or even years. These dream sequences reveal a symbolic narrative, showing the slow development of unconscious content as it emerges into consciousness. Each dream is like a chapter, sometimes clarifying previous dreams, sometimes contradicting them, always contributing to a broader psychic movement. Understanding this requires the analyst to approach the dreams not as isolated events, but as parts of a living psychological drama, where the unconscious reveals itself gradually, often painfully slowly. One of the core aspects Jung emphasized in long-term dream analysis was the appearance and evolution of symbolic figures. A figure who first appears as a threatening shadow might, over time, transform into a guide or helper. For Jung, this indicated that what was once repressed or projected outward, the shadow was now being integrated into the conscious self. Repeated interaction with these figures within the dream world marked the gradual unfolding of the dreamer's individuation process. The psyche, through its dreams, was attempting to present previously unconscious material in forms that could be recognized, engaged with, and eventually integrated. But dreams do not speak directly. The language of dreams is symbolic and often paradoxical. Jung warned analysts not to over-literalize dream images. A death in a dream does not necessarily predict physical death. Instead, it often signals the death of an attitude, the end of a psychological stage, or the necessity to relinquish an outdated part of the personality. Similarly, a birth in a dream may not foretell actual childbirth but can symbolize the emergence of a new potential within the psyche. The analyst must always ask, what is trying to die, and what is trying to be born within the dreamer? Another significant theme in Jung's dream analysis is the confrontation with the shadow. The shadow represents all that the conscious personality has rejected, repressed, or disowned. In dreams, the shadow often appears as threatening figures, dark landscapes, or situations of danger. To Jung, these terrifying images are not signs to avoid or suppress. They are invitations to engage. The shadow must be faced, understood, and eventually integrated if the individual is to move toward wholeness. Dreams, Jung taught, often show us what we least want to see, because that is precisely what we need to acknowledge within ourselves. Shadow integration in dreams might occur gradually. The threatening pursuer in early dreams may, over time, reveal a human face, speak a few words, or transform into a helper. Such shifts signify a psychic movement. The parts of the self once condemned to the unconscious are now seeking reconciliation. This process is neither simple nor comfortable. Dreams may intensify in violence or confusion before clarity emerges. Jung stressed that transformation is born not from avoidance, but from enduring the tension of opposites within the psyche. Dreams provide the images, the emotional charge, and the symbolic encounters necessary for this inner work. Beyond the shadow lies the realm of the Anima and Animus, the inner feminine within men and the inner masculine within women. These figures often appear in dreams as mysterious lovers, seductive strangers, wise women, or powerful men. They are archetypal energies representing the contrasexual part of the psyche, the inner opposite that must be acknowledged and integrated. For psychic balance, for Jung, repeated dreams of these figures suggest the unconscious is attempting to awaken the dreamer to neglected aspects of their inner life. Emotional sensitivity, receptivity, creativity in men, rationality, assertiveness, and focus in women. That's dreams progress. Jung observed, the Anima or Animus figures often evolve. At first, they might appear as dangerous seducers or tricksters, reflecting the individual's unconscious projections. Over time, these images can transform into wise guides, inner companions who help lead the dreamer toward greater self. This transformation in the dream world marks the psychic integration of these contrasexual aspects, allowing the individual to transcend rigid gender roles and become psychologically whole. A central symbol in Jungian dream analysis is the self, the totality of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. The self often appears symbolically as mandalas, circular or square shapes, figures of wholeness, or even wise old men and women. When such symbols appear in dreams, especially after prolonged work with shadow, anima, and animus, Jung interpreted them as signs that the individuation process is advancing. The psyche is pointing toward its own center, the integration of opposites, the realization of the true self beyond ego. These dreams carry a numinous quality, often leaving the dreamer with a sense of awe, peace, or overwhelming significance. Jung's method of dream analysis was not static. He adapted it to the individual. He recognized that no symbolic dictionary can substitute for understanding the personal meaning of symbols. While the snake might universally symbolize transformation, for one person, it might recall a childhood trauma, while for another it signifies wisdom or medicine. Therefore, Jung encouraged analysts to explore the personal associations each dreamer had with their symbols, without discarding the broader archetypal connections. Crucially, Jung taught that working with dreams does not end with intellectual understanding. The insights gained from dreams must be lived. Transformation requires action in the outer world. A person who dreams repeatedly of drowning may, upon recognizing this as symbolic of emotional overwhelm, need to change aspects of their daily life, confront avoided feelings, or change destructive relationships. Without real-world change, the psyche may respond with more intense dreams, reflecting the urgency of the neglected unconscious material. Thus, dreams are not abstract puzzles to be solved. They are guides for life. Jung also emphasized the compensatory function of dreams. The unconscious compensates for the one-sidedness of consciousness. If someone is too rational, their dreams will present irrational, emotional content. If someone is too humble, dreams may present images of power and grandeur. This role of dreams serves to balance the psyche, pushing the dreamer toward a more centered, realistic sense of self. Dreams are nature's correction, Jung believed. They show us not who we think we are, but who we really are. In his later years, Jung saw dreams as spiritual communications, connecting the individual not only with their personal unconscious, but with the collective unconscious, the shared psychic foundation of humanity. He explored dreams that presented mythological themes, religious symbols, and visions of death and rebirth. For Jung, such dreams connected the individual psyche with the archetypal dimensions of existence, revealing that personal development is part of a much larger, universal process. Working with dreams became for Jung a spiritual practice. He saw dream analysis as sacred work, a dialogue with the inner world, where symbols carry the weight of thousands of years of human experience. Each dream, he believed, is an expression of the timeless psyche, speaking to the individual in the night, guiding them along the path of transformation. Jung's own personal experiences with dreams shaped his theories. His famous confrontation with the unconscious, a period where he recorded visions and dream images in what he called the Red Book, demonstrated his belief that dreams are not mere side effects of sleep, but profound messages from the soul. By recording, painting, and dialoguing with these images, Jung deepened his connection to his own psyche, giving birth to his greatest theories on individuation, archetypes, and the self. Ultimately, Jung believed that every person carries within them the wisdom they need for healing and growth, buried in the unconscious and revealed through dreams. The role of the analyst is not to interpret for the dreamer, but to help the dreamer interpret their own symbols, to support them in their personal confrontation with the unconscious. Dream analysis, in Jung's method, is not about solving problems. It is about unfolding the soul. As Jung once wrote, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. But unlike Freud's dark path of repressed wishes, Jung's road leads toward integration, wholeness, and the realization of the deeper self. Every dream is a step on this road, a message from the depths, waiting patiently to be heard. Dreams, Jung taught, reveal the life that wants to live itself through us. They confront us with what we avoid, show us what we suppress, and beckon us toward what we might become. To listen to one's dreams, to engage with their symbols, to work with them actively, is to enter into a relationship with the unconscious itself. In this way, Jung's method of dream analysis is not a technique, but a lifelong journey, a journey where each night's visions are no longer meaningless images, but the voice of the self, whispering in the language of symbols, guiding us through the long path toward inner wholeness.